Hello everyone and welcome to the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show. I'm Tiago De Souza and today I'm here with Brianna Ullman helping me co-host. We're recording this month's show at SAS Explore, SAS's user and technology conference at the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas.
That's right, Tiago. I am so excited to be here co-hosting this episode of the SAS Viya Release Highlight Show with you. We are here in the Innovation Hub, and we are going to fill you in on all the latest topics when it comes to what people are hearing and talking about at SAS Explore. We're covering generative AI today, the topic on everyone's mind. We're also covering trustworthy AI, performance enhancements, and brand new technology that was just announced here at SAS Explore, like SAS Viya Workbench and App Factory.
That's right, exciting new announcements. And here at the Innovation Hub, I believe there's 45 booths that users can go and check out, as well as 72 live demos.
I can't wait to get a tour of the Innovation Hub. And just outside of the Innovation Hub, the content keeps coming because we have over 100 expert-led breakout sessions and 22 hands-on demos.
Well, it sounds like we got a lot to check out and not a whole lot of time. So what do we say we explore a little bit?
Let's do it. This one's for all the Python coders out there. Now it's easier than ever to use SAS and Python together. You can submit code from SAS and Python within environments like SAS Viya, Jupyter Notebooks, and more using our new technology, SAS Viya Workbench. Here to tell us more is Joseph Henry, a principal software developer at SAS. Hi, Joseph. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Brianna. It's a pleasure.
Oh, good. Well, can you tell us about SAS Viya Workbench? What is it?
Oh, I would love to tell you about it. SAS Viya Workbench is a scalable, lightweight SAS programming environment that can be ran in the cloud anywhere you are.
That is incredible. And we know historically that SAS has been a programming language for many decades. Lots of people enjoy programming in SAS. Lots of people also enjoy coding in Python. So how can you currently code in the language that you love in SAS Viya, and what makes SAS Viya Workbench different?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. So SAS Viya Workbench brings everything that SAS has to offer from SAS 9, plus all the procedures that we made in SAS Viya in the SAS language like you would expect it programming in SAS. We also provide an entire Python environment with all the packages you would do for modeling and machine learning in the box too. But we also provide a way to use the SAS analytics that you would use in a SAS procedure in a Python framework as well. And R is also coming soon.
That is very exciting. You'll have to come back on the show when we talk about R. So I'm hearing a lot that this is a scalable environment. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so when we talk about scalable, like you don't always need all the power that you can use when you're developing. Right? Let's say you're testing, you're developing something, you only need like half a core or 2 cores just to like you're writing code, you're testing it. But when you're actually like running an ETL job or actually training a model, you want more power. So with a click of a button in SAS Viya Workbench, you can scale from 2 cores all the way up to 96 or even GPUs at the click of a button, right? It's just that simple. So now you can use power when you need it, and when you don't, you can go back to an affordable, small system.
I love that flexibility.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
Fantastic. So can you explain exactly how this is going to help someone in their day-to-day role?
Well, so if you are a SAS programmer or a Python programmer, but programmer is the key word here, it will just enable you to do what you need to do for your job easily, right? So this is running in the cloud, so it can be wherever you are, right? You just need an internet connection to connect to it, and then you can be programming in SAS and Python and hooking them together and doing what you need to do for your job. People have been wanting something like this for a long time, and we are listening to the customer, and right now at SAS Explore we're in private preview, so anybody at this conference can use it, and we're getting feedback post-conference about the software.
An exciting opportunity for attendees to try this technology.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Well, thank you so much.
App Factory was just announced at SAS Explore. It is a software as a service offering that allows data scientists and application developers to have scalable applications by registering SAS code and Python code to use as functions to build applications. It is now easier than ever to develop applications using your own existing SAS infrastructure. Nick Markovich, a director in R&D, is here to give us the facts on App Factory. Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, you're welcome, Tiago. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We'll get right into it. Could you tell me a couple of sentences about the SAS App Factory? What can you tell us about this new technology?
So, App Factory is a mechanism by which you can build full-on applications and experiences around models that you build as a developer, as a data scientist. So, everyone's building models all over the place nowadays. We have models of different, characteristics, performances, but actually getting those models into production and getting value out of them is still an issue, and building applications and building UIs around them and deploying them to the cloud in a way that can be taken advantage of by end users is what App Factory actually facilitates.
Gotcha. So how does App Factory actually help make sure that models are being put to work and incorporated into the production of an application or product? Can you tell us what that looks like?
Sure. So you have data scientists. They are very good at data engineering. They're data oriented. Actually building experiences around those models involves a completely different skill set. There are, UX developers, front-end devs that, make a living out of this. It's a science. Actually building experiences nowadays is very different to just doing data management. So App Factory facilitates the collaboration between those two skill sets. So we help the data scientists deploy their work in a way that is native to the UX developer, and then we generate the code on the side of the UX developer so that they don't have to think or understand anything about the workflow of the data scientist. Put those two together and you get apps. And App Factory facilitates both the initial development of that and then the continuous deployment and maintenance of those experiences.
You mentioned that App Factory helps facilitate collaboration. Could we go a little bit more into that? How does App Factory make it easier for technical teams, whether they're data scientists, app developers, or a combination, bring this technology to app consumers?
Good question. So the way the technology works and has worked in terms of open standards that are available in the last few years is that we have APIs, right? And APIs have documented endpoints and data types and stuff that developers are expected to read and use to write code that complies, and sends data in a format that API expects. Now, that can be onerous. Actually, both generating the API documentation, writing the code that interacts with those APIs according to that documentation is time consuming. What we do is we streamline the process of that kind of piece through code generation, and then also facilitate the deployment and redeployment and continuous delivery effectively of the models at the back end that really kind of drastically improve the workflow between the UX developer who's consuming those APIs and the data scientist who is continuously working on them and redeploying them and, maintaining the life cycle of those models, amongst other things.
As we heard from your talk on the main stage, there are a lot of low-code, no-code app development products out there. Let's talk more about that. Low-code, no-code used to be the way of the future, and this is technology that is present within SAS Viya as well. We all know it's super important in democratizing analytics, but why? And in what situations is incorporating a yes-code approach to writing an application development tool important?
Great question again. So as it pertains to low-code, no-code model lifecycle and model development and training, low-code, no-code really shines in that scenario because your data already has a schema. There's only, you can identify the roles for your variables in your data sets. Data scientists and business users actually can really thrive with that kind of interface when there is that much structure in the background because the data is relatively well defined. When it comes to actual application development, so the actual, building those experiences, it's a much more open-ended problem that kind of area tries to solve, and it's not something that can be reduced down to dragging and dropping some boxes together. There are no fixed variables there. You may want, the way the interaction works, it requires you, in most cases, to put together a custom experience with JavaScript libraries that are continually evolving. And the way that existing vendors for low-code, no-code app development work is they kind of let you prototype things. They let you build a simple data model, most of the time plug into an existing database in a similar way to what our no-code offerings do in terms of model training. But that's not enough to build an app. That's not enough to build an experience. It has to be extensible. And with no-code app development, you can build internal tools, you can build utilities for your business, you can build, what you used to do in things like Microsoft Access. It's getting better. But if you are looking to build something that ends up being a product that ends up needing to be maintained and used by thousands of users, most of the time, and the development community will tell you this, most of the time you end up kind of going, okay, that was a nice prototype, but now we're going to rewrite it in proper TypeScript with proper libraries and, get a Git repository together and get a couple of UI developers to maintain this. Our approach there is saying, why not just make that whole piece easier and not worry about the kind of no-code app development piece? And I mentioned large language models and generative AI. I mean, again, there's a real reason why they're so popular nowadays, and I kind of said this on stage as well. It's not because they're no code, it is because they generate code. And once the model generates code for you and you can understand it and tweak it and discard it if you don't want it, but use it correctly, and it teaches you how to code, that really is democratizing the way that these experiences are built. And my opinion and the opinion of a lot of the technical community is that is the way forward over dragging and dropping some boxes together and calling it a day.
Gotcha. Nick, thank you so much for telling us about App Factory. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I guess the question is, would it be great to get the data, get progress and innovation, and then if they go to the next level.
Generative AI is hot, hot, hot. From digital twins to synthetic data to large language models like the development of ChatGPT-4, we have some burning questions. Luckily, we have Lee Cullen, a senior product manager of cloud programs, to answer what SAS is doing on the generative AI front. Hi, Lee. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's very excited to be here with you.
So we're here to talk about generative AI. My first question for you is, where is SAS focusing development efforts when it comes to generative AI? Can you explain a little bit more about the technology behind it?
Absolutely. So the SAS strategy on generative AI is we're taking a broader vantage point. And so we're saying generative AI is more than large language models. It's synthetic data generation and digital twins and IoT as well. And so, and even more foundationally to that, SAS, we are starting with a trustworthy and explainable generative AI strategy.
Perfect. We've heard a lot lately about how generative AI can help individuals in their day-to-day lives. But what are some examples of how the generative AI SAS is developing can scale to help organizations?
Yes, so SAS, our approach is that generative AI is multiplicative in value. So from the individual to the team, to the organization, to the enterprise, and ultimately to the industry. And so what we're doing is from an individual perspective, we want to help individuals use SAS tools better to increase productivity and speed to market, and then to enable teams and enterprises with workflow and process enablement. So even rote, mundane, time-consuming tasks, we want to tag in AI assistance to help with that, to free up time for innovation, to free up time for enterprise modernization, or just the higher priorities that the enterprise has. And then as SAS does best, we are also focusing on industry solutions in generative AI. And so we're looking at this from the large language model perspective, which are the use cases I just outlined before. And then we also have synthetic data generation, which enables data privacy, right, and rare events augmentation, system testing, and optimization of business processes. So yes, we've got a lot in queue.
A lot of topics there that we just talked about. You mentioned terms like synthetic data, digital twins, and large language models. What are some of the potential impacts that this technology can have in the future, and how do you see it evolving over time?
Yes. So the categories of digital twins, synthetic data generation, and large language models, we're seeing that those are likely going to converge and really enhance that multiplicative value for enterprises. And I think the industry is still figuring out what those convergence points are. And so with synthetic data generation, to use that as an example, there's challenges that the world is facing, like the geopolitics of data and how data moves between different country boundaries, synthetic data may be able to solve really large, gnarly paradigms like that. And there's a lot more to come.
That sounds gnarly to me. You sold me on it. If I was a SAS user, how would I go about getting my hands on this technology?
Yes, so today we have, in terms of digital twins and IoT, SAS has a lot of building blocks that are available today in Viya that you can get your hands on. And synthetic data generation, we do have 2 algorithms in production today. They're mostly for high code or data science power users. We are building a low no code capability for that in the future. And then large language models, we do have a SAS code gen that will help advanced and novice programmers, SAS programmers, that we want to private preview in Q4 of this year.
We've heard a lot lately about how generative AI can help individuals in their day-to-day lives, but what are some examples of how the generative AI SAS is developing can scale to help organizations?
Yes, so the SAS generative AI product strategy is absolutely multiplicative in value. And so we're looking at it from enabling individuals, teams, organizations, the enterprise, as well as the industry at large. And so we're using large language models, synthetic data generation, digital twins, and IoT. We want to enable individual productivity and speed to market. So when we think of code generation, right, that's one use case which utilizes LLMs. And then when we think of team workflow and process enablement with really mundane and tedious tasks, that's where we're introducing multiple types of AI assistants, intelligent assistants to help you complete those really tedious and time-consuming tasks, as well as democratizing analytics lifecycle as we know it today and making analytics life experience for someone who may not have data science experience, right, or be an analyst. In addition, where we, as SAS has always done so well, is we're building industry solutions in addition to that.
Sounds great. Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, look who else we found at the Generative AI booth. It's David Vike, a SAS Viya Release Highlights Show regular, who hosts the Into the SAS Viyaverse recaps. Hi, David.
Hi, Thiago.
I hear you've been working on a cool new generative AI use case. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, it's basically taking a natural language question and translating it into results using the SAS Viya platform in the background. So identifying tables that are relevant using our information catalog and building out models to answer the user's question.
Nice, that sounds great. How can an organization use this technology? If they wanted to get their hands on it, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, it's basically everything is there with the Viya platform. They can bring their large language model of choice and connect everything up and basically enable their whole organization to work with data and can trust in the results because they're backed up by SAS Viya.
Perfect. David, thank you so much for doing this quick, spontaneous interview. I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We find a new use case for AI every single day, but there are risks associated as well. If you're using an AI model that may have historical data, there could be bias perpetuated that is hidden in the training data. Let's talk to SAS data scientist at the SAS Data Ethics Practice, Vrushali Sawant, to learn about trustworthy AI. Hi, Vrushali. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Brianna. Hi. Nice talking to you this morning.
I am so excited to talk to you about trustworthy AI. Can you tell us, first of all, why is there a business need for ethics in AI?
AI, as you see, and you must have seen in this conference, it's like booming, it's everywhere, it's ubiquitous. And it is only a matter of time that it will not only affect our professional life, but also our personal lives. And when it starts affecting our personal lives, that's when it gets serious. And this is how, when you train your AI on biased data sets, most likely the output will be biased. It is only going to amplify the bias that we have been seen in the society for generations. So we wouldn't want that to be happening, and we would want that technology should be developed in an ethical, responsible manner. And hence there is a need for ethics in AI in the business these days.
Absolutely. And why should companies be interested in embracing trustworthy AI?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, because here at SAS, we believe there are 3 important reasons why we need to embrace trustworthy AI. one of the things is there is always this innate desire to do good. I don't see any or know anyone like gets up in the morning and say, "Oh, let's do some harm," and that is what all organizations must be. They have some goals, some policies, and they're just trying to implement AI, maybe for productivity, decisioning, with nothing of an unintended consequences in mind. The second reason is customers do trust businesses that are ethical in nature, and that is the foundation of having that customer relationship. So building that customer trust, that is important. And last but not least, the growing regulations. As you must have seen across the globe, the regulatory responses that have been to AI, may it be with like recommendations, there are some laws, there are some best practices that the government across are developing. And hence, there is this need of embracing the trustworthy AI approach.
It is very clear hearing from you that this is a business priority. And can you tell me how companies can begin to embrace this trustworthy AI governance and establish that governance?
That is really wonderful because like when you hear about all these regulations, recommendations from the government and the reasons that I stated of embracing trustworthy AI, I feel like there are 4 things that SAS preaches and practices as well when it comes to a comprehensive approach for trustworthy AI. It starts with really that oversight, having that policy, having that governance framework set up. And once you have that policy, then comes the compliance and the risk management about how are you going to manage the risks that are underlying that AI technology. This is all fine, but when rubber meets the road, that's when the infrastructure, the platform, the operations, and how are you managing your data and AI and technology around it comes into picture. This all is fine, but the last important piece in the puzzle is the culture aspect. When you weave in the people and they are internally motivated to build the technology in a responsible manner. So I think these are the 4 things that we need to consider while embracing and implementing that trustworthy AI governance. And we do here at SAS with a similar approach called a squad. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you bring up SAS here at the end, and how can SAS really help guide these companies when it comes to trustworthy AI strategy?
Yes, and I say it with pride that I work for an analytics company that was one of the pioneer in AI and analytics, and it has been about 47 plus years now. And SAS believes that inherently there is no malice or goodness within the technology. One of the things that we do here at SAS is we are building a trustworthy platform onto which our customers and partners then can build responsible solution and then they can innovate responsibly. So that is what we are providing from a technology and solution perspective when it comes to trustworthy AI, enabling our customers thinking in that direction.
Excellent. And one final question for you. What is being done to embed trustworthy AI capabilities right into the software that SAS provides, like SAS Viya?
Yes, and this makes me giggle only because I am a part of it. So SAS has established the data ethics practice a couple of years back. And what this practice is basically, we are trying to make sure that wherever our technology comes up, however it gets deployed, we make sure that it is not unintentionally harming people. And how we do that is, in our team, we have data scientists, developers, tech ethicists, which work with the stakeholders who are actually developing this technology. So we have working with R&D, we are working with the product teams, and taking really that principled approach and making sure that our features are inclusive, they are transparent, they are protecting the privacy of an individual, and there is that, in the end, we are building a robust, trustworthy solution. So we have these capabilities that are sprinkled all across the AI and analytics lifecycle, starting from managing data, developing models, and deploying insights. And it is really great that, and I say it with pride, that SAS Viya has that end-to-end capabilities to enable the trustworthy AI.
Wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Glad talking to you, though. Thank you.
What happens when a third-party research firm compares SAS Viya to its competition? Well, they ran over 1,500 tests across different algorithms to compare performance. And how did commercial offerings and open source alternatives like H2O and Spark ML compare? Spoiler alert, SAS won 96% of the time. Chris Blake, Product Director of Cloud Acceleration, is here to tell us more. Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I'm looking at these test results and they look fantastic. But first and foremost, who did the study and what was evaluated?
Yeah, they're really cool. As a team, we're really proud of those numbers. So SAS asked the Futurium group to review and analyze some performance results from SAS Viya and some leading commercial and open source AI and ML kind of alternatives to see kind of how SAS's analytical engine compared with those alternatives. So for this study, we benchmarked 4 different algorithms using various different data sets of all shapes and sizes. And we ran those on different machines too, just to see what the results would be like. And in the end, we ended up running over 1,500 different tests across 100 different scenarios. And yeah, we're really excited to share the results.
Wow, 1,500 different tests. And just what were the complete findings of the study after the tests were ran?
Yeah, so Futurium published a 28-page report with all the data, all the charts, with all the different results from all the different scenarios. But there's an executive summary as well if you don't want to go fully into all of those. But so I definitely recommend going and checking that report out. But maybe I can highlight just a couple of the numbers from those reports. So they found that SAS Viya was on average 30 times faster than the alternatives and up to 326 times faster, not percent, times, than leading commercial alternatives. So really cool.
So what does this investment in speed, besides the obvious of course, mean for SAS users?
Yeah. So speed is everything. Performance and efficiency, particularly when we're in the cloud, is really important for our users. So the Futurium study showed that the value of SAS Viya is kind of twofold. One, you can get your business questions, get your decisions answered super fast with SAS Viya, faster than using any of these alternative packages and offerings. But also that you can do that at the lowest operating cost, at the best possible price.
That's awesome. So how is SAS Viya also prioritizing performance across the environment as a whole?
Yeah, so like we said, performance is a real key area for us, and we're always looking at it and focusing on it. This study kind of highlighted the performance gains and the performance of our analytical engines, but we're looking at the whole Viya platform and the performance of it. So we're looking at our user interfaces, migrating those to sort of modern, more performant frameworks, and as we're doing that, reviewing the code to find performance optimization opportunities. We're also looking at our microservices as well, making sure that they're operating as performant and as efficiently as they can be. So we've done a huge effort over the past 18 months to migrate those from Java to Go, which has seen a real reduction in the footprint needed to run Viya, which of course means that the cost of running the software is lower too. So great performance all over.
Are there any other benefits for running faster?
Yeah, we actually looked at the environmental impacts of how, what our performance in Viya is. So we looked at the biggest problem in the Futurium study, the largest problem we were looking at solving. And if you ran that problem every day, sort of training a model, scoring a model, if you ran that model every day for 5 years, if you use SAS Viya compared to a leading commercial alternative, you would save about 50 tons of CO2. Just to put that into perspective, it would take 4,500 trees to offset that. So that's really cool as well.
As you said before, speed is everything, especially in a world as fast as this one. And it's good to see that SAS has that as a priority. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
Well, Brianna, we had quite an expedition just now. What did you think of it all?
I loved all the topics we got to see today. I think the one that stood out for me the most was SAS Viya Workbench. I love the flexibility that we're getting for Python programmers, for SAS programmers, and pretty soon for all of you R programmers out there. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, the SAS Viya Workbench is a huge one for me. I really like seeing the generative AI, specifically the conversational AI, and how users can go in, tell SAS what they want to do in a comment, and it'll just spit out the code for them. They don't even need to know how to do that code themselves. That's just amazing to me.
Absolutely. Well, it is that time. We are wrapping up for today, but please join us next month on Tuesday, October 17th, where we'll be coming back with more guests and more SAS Viya release highlights for you.
If you're watching this on YouTube, why not subscribe to the channel, give us a like, comment on what you'd like to see in future shows, and click on that bell to get notified for when that October show will be up. Until then, I've been your host, Thiago de Souza.
I'm Brianna Ullman.
And we'll catch you next time.